What's going on, everyone? So Darvin Ham has been less than stellar this season for the Los Angeles Lakers. There are numerous times this year where it just looks like Darvin Ham has no clue what he's doing, what is going on, what the plan is. He heavily has guys out of position, right? It drives me crazy the way he utilizes some of his players. Just lack of awareness, situations, obviously execution, making changes, calling timeouts. The list goes on with the performance of Darvin Ham this season. He, as everybody, has had good moments, but the bad moments have far exceeded the amount of just good moments, good games. And it's odd because he was actually very good towards the back half of last season and in the postseason, at least the first two rounds. He wasn't very good in the Denver series, but in the first two rounds against the Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors, he was getting all kinds of praise, right? And you would think it's like, okay, it's first year, rookie year, little shaky, right? But the first half of the season, he didn't have really a roster. It was like a bunch of 6-foot guards. We go and finally build a roster, and hey, we're off to the races. We get into the postseason. We make it to the conference finals in Darvin Ham's first year. It's like, all right, I can't wait to see what he's going to do and improve this season. And now you go and you get the roster that you get, and it's like, man, this Lakers team has size, versatility, right? There's definitely some question marks about Darvin Ham, but he finally has a roster. What can he do with what is perceived at the time as a championship caliber roster? And he's just kind of driven it to the ground. It's been very unfortunate. Now, is everything on Darvin Ham? Absolutely not. Right? The players haven't been great. Injuries are an issue. Right? It's just, it's a culmination of things, but Darvin Ham isn't doing the Lakers any favors. Early on, I was very, defensive of him to an extent because I do believe a lot of it falls on the players, right? And early on, the players weren't really doing Darvin Ham any justice. But you just have seen him fail to improve, fail to make the proper adjustments, fail to recognize things that everyone else seems to be very clear and recognizable, even people that aren't like basketball minds or, just your everyday fan are it's like, dude, why are we doing this? Obviously, the Taurean Prince thing, overplaying guys, the roles in which, I could sit here for an hour and go over all the things that Darvin Ham has just botched this season. And, of course, many in Lakers Nation are screaming for Darvin Ham to be fired. Now, he's not going to get fired this season. It would take something catastrophic for him to get fired this season. Never say never, but don't count on it. Hold your breath, because it's just, you got 20 games left. There's no point, right? Either you make the postseason, you go on a run, or you don't. You're not going to fire the coach 20 games out. It's illogical at this point for a team that's actually, they're trying to do something. We'll see what happens. But that doesn't mean that his job is safe and he will be the Lakers head coach next season. And we got a report per Anthony Irwin, basically diving into Darvin Ham and whether he will be with the Lakers next season or not. So, report, again, per Anthony Irwin, Darvin Ham's future with the Lakers could be defined by March results. Per sources speaking on the condition of anonymity, Ham's job is still very much safe this season. But if the Lakers don't make the playoffs, meaning secure the 6th seed, or win their way into an actual playoff series, that could change as soon as this summer, Irwin reported. Rob Pelinka's focus is still squarely on this season, sources say, and conversations about Ham's future have yet to truly commence. So again, this report talks about Darvin Ham's job is safe this season, that the Lakers aren't going to fire him. They're not going to make any coaching changes this year. They're going to ride into whatever direction Darvin Ham leads them and kind of just live with the results and then recalibrate and figure it out next season. That Rob Pelinka is focused just riding out, finishing this season. Obviously, they have dreams and aspirations of getting that third star. So the Lakers have a lot to figure out in the offseason regardless. Whether it's hiring a new coach or not, they're going to have their work cut out for them. But something else that Anthony Irwin added about LeBron James's sort of relationship with Darvin Ham, which doesn't sound good. So, again, this is in regards to LeBron James. He sits in the huddle and gets his rest, water, rolls his eyes as Ham speaks, and waits for the huddle to break. One source close to the situation said, if Ham ever does draw up a play, as soon as the huddle breaks, James will tell everyone else on the court with him, F all that, and calls a play of his own. Now, we have seen on numerous occasions that LeBron James will call a timeout or draw up a play or basically dictate what's going on out there. Darvin Ham has talked about how, he's totally okay with that he leans into LeBron heavily in that regard. And if LeBron sees something or wants to change the play, or basically LeBron has free range to do whatever he wants. Now, I'm always really skeptical about the sources of somebody familiar with the situation. Like, who is that? Is it a player? Is it a head coach? Or not a head coach, but a coach? Like, where'd you get that from? Is it the janitor that has no idea what is going on? Is it one of the cheerleaders? Like, it's just, I'm not big, because there's only a few people that would know that. Either A, it's one of the coaches, or B, it's one of the players. So to me, it's like, which is it? Right? So I'm not really a big fan of those like reports where it's like somebody familiar with the situation. Like, okay, well, I'm familiar with the situation, and yes, I've seen LeBron change stuff, but is that something in spite of the coach, or is that something that the two of them have a relationship with? And Darvin Ham has basically given LeBron James the green light to go, hey, if you see something out there, or if you feel a certain way, or whatever, because you are one of, if not the greatest basketball minds ever, go ahead and do it. I mean, Ty Lue did that for LeBron, and they have a great relationship. So, again, I don't think Darvin Ham and LeBron James are BFFs. I don't think it's LeBron and Ty Lue, but, again, there's a difference between, like, respect and, blatant, like, okay, like what he did to David Blatt, right? Think of like David Blatt and how David Blatt would call a play and LeBron would be like, absolutely not. That's not what we're doing, right? And ended up pushing David Blatt out. So again, I'm skeptical about that. But the other part of the report in which Darvin Ham, basically this is his last season unless the Lakers make it to the conference finals again or win the NBA championship, that I believe, that I am pretty confident will be the case. I think that, and it says there's a lot of talk about like, the stretch of March. And I saw a lot of people, ask like, well, why March? Like, what does March do? Well, because March is basically, you're at the end of the season, right? March is the kind of make or break for the Lakers here. If the Lakers have a terrible March, then guess what? They're not making the playoffs. Or, they might, maybe they finish as the 9th or 10th and trickle into the playoffs, but they're not going anywhere, right? So the month of March is going to be very important. And you already are on the wrong side of that with a loss to the Denver Nuggets. And now you got the Thunder, the Kings, the Bucks, the Timberwolves, the Kings, the Warriors. Those are your next 6 games. It's not easy. Does kind of lighten up a little bit towards the back end of March, where you have like the Hawks, the Sixers, the Pacers, the Bucks, the Grizzlies, the Pacers, and the Nets. Now, look, Pacers are still good. Hawks have already beaten us once. The Bucks are obviously the Bucks. The Nets have beaten us once. But those are games that the Lakers, that they play right, they play hard, they should be able to win. Maybe not so much the Bucks. We'll see. The Lakers have the Bucks coming up in LA. That March 26th game against the Bucks is on the road in Milwaukee. But look, the Lakers were 9-3 in the month of February. Now, one could argue the February schedule was a lot more favorable than the March schedule, right? You beat the Celtics without LeBron and AD. That was incredibly impressive. But then you played the Knicks with like half their roster injured and their key guys. The Hornets are the Hornets. You lose to the Nuggets. You beat the Pelicans, which was another good win. And then it's the Pistons, the Jazz. You lose to the Warriors. You beat the Spurs. You lose to the Suns. Clippers was an impressive win, but it took LeBron James basically turning back the clock and telling Father Time to sit down. And then the Wizards. So, the February slate was not as, or would not be as impressive as this upcoming March slate would be. This upcoming March slate, if you have a winning record in the month of March, would be very just noticeable and very record worthy. Because again, you are playing essentially a bunch of playoff teams and teams fighting for various seeding and whatnot throughout the month of March. And then April, you got 7 games left, and we'll kind of see where that shapes up. So it does make sense that March is basically the make or break in that regard for Darvin Ham, because it's like, if you have a bad March, then guess what? You're probably not making the playoffs, or you have a real chance of missing the playoffs. And, it's frustrating we're in this situation. We had a very promising offseason. We look like a team that, wasn't that long ago, where we were 5 games over 500, just won the in-season tournament, looked like a team that was going to be at least top 3 to 4 seed, and really making a push for an NBA championship. And we went down and down fast. And, and now we're in this position to where we're treading water, trying to climb back up and get out of this pool. And it's all these teams keep winning ahead of us. We're not winning enough games to stay ahead. It's rough. Not where we thought we were going to be, not where we wanted to be. But unfortunately, we're here, right? And, we're not all hope is lost. We're still in the hunt. We're still right there. But we really got to start gaining some ground here, right? Like we keep taking a step backwards, and you look at teams like the Warriors and, the Kings and the Pelicans, and it's just like these teams just keep winning. And, we're only 2 games back of the 8th seed, 2.5 back of the Kings. And like I said, we play Sacramento twice. You beat Sacramento both times, all of a sudden you could be looking at the, 7th or 8th seed rather easily. Got to get out of that. Got to bare minimum get to that 7th, 8th spot. Again, we're still in range. We're only 3 games back of the 6th seed, 3.5 of the 5th seed. So we're not out of reach of either of those, but it's very hard, right? Very hard to get there, especially when you have teams like the Warriors that just have such an easy schedule the rest of the way. It's going to take a couple things kind of going in our favor, but we'll see. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you hope that the Lakers end up firing Darvin Ham in the offseason? Here's the thing, too, right? Something you got to keep in mind and think about. If the Lakers end up, let's say they get to the conference finals again, or let's say they get to the NBA finals, or they win the NBA finals, right? All things are probably relatively unlikely, but outside of the Nuggets, I think the Lakers can beat anybody. I genuinely believe that they can. But, if the Lakers end up making it in the conference finals again, right? Like, let's say they play Denver again and they lose. Guess what? Darvin Ham's probably not going anywhere. Because it's like he's been the head coach that's led us to the conference finals twice. Right? Or say we get to the finals. It's like, well, the first year we got to the conference finals. The second year we got to the NBA finals. So you got to keep that in mind too. The more that we win, the further we go in the playoffs, the more and more likely it is that Darvin Ham gets another year. So just something to keep in mind. But again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos. I truly appreciate it. Not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.